Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gabriel, Jose.
where are we today?
I still haven't moved. Man, why do I forget this? It's just like a muscle memory. I'm sitting in the same spot as
Yeah,
always, in San Francisco in my home.
yeah. I mean, for the audience, we usually like I don't know, like talk for 1 hour or two, like today. Uh, and I feel like I should actually should open, but it's like, why are you sitting there? Just like
Why?
compel you to move. It's like, why? Why do you choose that specific location?
Because it's comfortable. And maybe I'm just too used to being comfortable and I need to get outside of my comfort zone. All right.
I'm
Next podcast, you remind me.
it's my fault. Okay, I will do my part of actually like trying to get to shake things up and just move somewhere
Excellent.
else. I'm talking about like shaking things up. What did we watch?
This was one of your weirdest picks, in my opinion. I mean, it was fine, but it's so far outside of what I think of when I think about what you'll pick. You picked the Christmas classic, turning what, 32 this year?
34? It's from
34,
88,
30,
yeah.
32 this year, 33 next year. Bruce Willis stars in Die Hard.
I had to say that I only watched this movie a couple of times while, like I was growing up and the likes, and I wasn't sure like what to expect, like rewatching it again. But I was curious because I heard like many times in a jokingly manner that this is supposed to be a Christmas movie. And I didn't remember anything Christmas related. So I was like, is this really a Christmas movie? And I forgot about it.
It I mean, it takes place at a Christmas party. I think in the 80s you could say Christmas party and not say holiday party. So
Yeah, that's true. Is that you can actually say that. But the thing, I think that there is like a, and we don't have like to go too much into it just because you still have to summarize it. But there are like some specific points on the script that is like it feels like they are like making fun on Hollywood movies. I'm sorry, on Christmas movies. Like, oh my God, if we do this, we will lose light in all of 3 blocks around this building. Is that and it's Christmas night. John McClane has to save Christmas.
and you know how many Los Angeles residents are downtown in their office buildings on Christmas Eve. It's important.
Is what I was
You got to
thinking at
light
that
up
point.
the holiday building. In fact, they mentioned specifically that they're on like the 42nd floor, the 32nd, and nobody else is in the entire building.
Yeah, well, and the other part of the like is like is LA is that you actually choose to shoot something in a skyscraper in LA. That there are like how many? 3 of those.
Yeah. It was
Come on.
weird. I was like, I was literally thinking, why didn't they just have this happen in New York? I mean, I get it. There's a plot
Yeah,
divide
yeah,
that
yeah,
sense in LA, but I was like, this would have made way more sense in Midtown. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah. No, I don't disagree. But in any case, is it what is this movie about? What is this Christmas movie about?
This Christmas movie is about a man, John McClane, who is a New York cop, and he travels to Los Angeles to attend his, I don't want to say estranged, they're not estranged, but his wife from whom he's separated. They
Mm-hmm.
have a couple kids, and she apparently started a career in New York, and her career took her to LA, and he was a New York cop who didn't want to go to New York, and so they're figuring out their lives separately.
Well, they were living in New York, no? And then she
They
moved with
were
the
together,
kids.
but
Yeah,
then
yeah,
her career sent
yeah.
her
To
to
her,
LA.
yeah.
And he should have followed her, but he didn't. He had too much pride, that John McClane.
Really, I like the point of realization about like well, there's going to be spoilers. Honestly, it's
Oh yeah,
34 years old. This movie,
you
deal with
deserve
it.
your
Yeah,
spoilers.
like the point when he actually acknowledges like, well, I didn't move because I thought that she was not going to make it.
Which he's a terrible husband. I mean, like in 1988, I think he was a solid husband. In 2022, he's just kind of a piece of shit, a relic of another age.
Yeah, I mean, well, just summarize first, and
All
then I will just
right.
express it.
So he attends the holiday party of his wife's company, which is Japanese, which didn't really matter, but they sure mentioned it a lot. Um, and they have this like gentle reunion. He literally gets off the flight, goes to the office building. Their party is on a high up floor in a high rise, 32 or 42, I can't remember. The entire building is empty. They established that multiple times besides this one holiday party. It's a very ritzy holiday party. She clearly has made a splash as an executive. She made a multi-million-dollar deal. The company gave her a Rolex, with which further alienates John McClane. But as he goes to a washroom to clean up after his flight to attend the party, some terrorist led by Professor Snape,
That's
Alan
right. Yeah.
they take over the party. They claim that they are terrorists taking a stand against mega corporations, keeping all of the party hostage until they release political prisoners across the world that they know are not going to get released. But it's all a front, all of it. Really, they just want to steal what's in the company's vault, and they bring in a hacker,
Yeah.
a
One of those.
1988 hacker,
Yeah.
who has to break through like 7 security doors. And anyway, John McClane goes like Rambo on the building and starts trying to save everyone, but particularly his wife. And over the next 2 hours and 16 minutes, John McClane kills terrorists and has witty banter with Alan Rickman.
Yeah, I had to say that it's like I appreciate when the movies are open about like this. There is a finite number of bad guys, so every single time that he kills one, it feels meaningful.
And they provide a countdown because it's also like a buddy movie because John McClane has a buddy on the street, which is the dad from Family
Matters. Yeah.
Which I think he only ever did 2 things: Family Matters and Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah. They couldn't be, but the funny thing is, like in both of them, he's a policeman, and I even like just wonder about like, is he supposed to be the same character? Like some kind of weird like crossover.
He went home to his Family Matters family with Urkel.
Yeah, and the second in Die Hard 2, actually, is like Steve Urkel shows in Die Hard 2, and actually John McClane shows in one of the last seasons of Family Matters. No, but besides that, like Family Matters takes place in Chicago, if I recall correctly.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I watched that when it was live TV.
Oh wow,
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie resolves as you would expect. John McClane is the hero, and he saves almost everyone. There's a few douchebag
that they deserve it. Yeah,
they deserve getting killed.
Yeah.
And they get killed.
Well, the CEO dies.
The CEO seemed like a good
nice.
Guy,
yeah,
but
nice.
He was like the sacrificial lamb to get things going.
Yeah. I like the sleazy. I like a sleazy, terrible douchebag of a boss that she has. That is like Lucas sexual harassment. Every single time that the two of them
so
sing
much
is like
inappropriate in this.
Yeah, but he dies, so it's fine.
The guy was a douchebag, but I respect him for not saying, "Hey, this is McClane's wife," because the whole time most of the time, the terrorists don't know who John is connected to at the party, and if they had known, they would have made things complicated.
Yeah, and if he's even connected to anyone because they think that it may be like a security guard or whatever from the beginning. So I had to say that I have forgotten like that cat and mouse game, and I like it. Honestly, I'm going to be like completely honest. It's a random pick, but it's like this is a enjoyable action movie. It's like by the manual of this is a good action movie from the 80s. It's pretty violent, pretty snarky, like the script is not amazing or it's not going to be like changing your life, but it proposes entertainment, and it succeeds.
I completely agree. And I can't remember if you said this after we started recording, but it feels like a film that knows it's making fun of itself and the genre that it inserts itself into. Yeah. And because it's so self-aware, you can't even be critical of this because they know that the dialogue is ridiculous. They know that the action is ridiculous. They were smart enough to get Bruce Willis, who is great with that like banter.
Ridiculousness, yeah.
And Alan Rickman is an exceptional terrorist. Well, he's an exceptional bad guy, no matter what he does. Even in Love Actually, he's the bad guy in Love Actually.
I don't remember that movie.
He gave his secretary the jewelry that Emma Thompson thought was hers, and then she opens her gift on Christmas, and it's just the CDs,
Oh, I
and
don't
she
remember.
realizes, oh, he has a fling.
Oh,
Anyway, Alan Rickman is usually the bad guy, or
yeah,
was the bad guy. Rest in peace.
yeah, yeah.
No, I think this was overall a smart film in that self-awareness. It was like, we're going to be over the top and ridiculous and enjoy what this is. Which this weekend I went and saw Violent Night, which is very, very similar. Like, it knew it was making fun of the genre. It was making fun of all the Christmas cliches, and it was extremely violent and satisfying. I was like, and this is as good as Christmas movies get. And neither one of us really likes any Christmas movies, with the exception of one that
You,
I think is happy and nobody else does.
dude,
So,
it's a freaking drama. This is a freaking terrible family drama.
but it's, well, anyway, we won't get into this.
Okay.
But yes,
But what I was mentioning earlier is like I think that the script, as you were saying, is like it makes fun of itself, and sometimes it feels like this is a smart-ish, for what it is. It's like it's not a bit more like like the smartest drama that you're ever going to see, but it's like, hey, this is an action movie, and there are like some jabs that they are taking at themselves. And when you were saying about like I like the idea of being barefoot for the whole movie for just such a stupid comment from the beginning. That is like, dude, you brought this on yourself. That he says like a couple of times, like just like the suits of the people that he kills, about like, no, this doesn't work.
no, he's not going to take it. And then Alan Rickman comments on his bare feet.
Yeah.
And John McClane has the weirdest comeback when he's like, yeah, better than having your being caught with your pants down or something. And I was like, none of this makes sense. They're just saying random words.
It's Sadie's humor, dude. You wouldn't get it. It's fine.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I was 4 when this came out, so
Yeah, and I was 8, and I think that I only watched it like in 92 or something, or 91, and I think that it was like, if I recall correctly, it was in a bus trip, one that it was going to be like lasting 3 hours, and they used to play like movies on TV, and it was not like you have to have like some kind of headphones or anything like that. It's
just
like the
played it
whole,
over.
yeah, it's like everyone is like just trapped watching that movie. Is that there is no chance of escaping this, and I was traveling with my mother, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And my mother was like, "This is way too violent." I said, "That's what makes it cool."
When you were like 10ish, 12ish, somewhere there.
Yeah, between like 9 and 11. Yeah,
Yeah, this is not really appropriate for like an 11-year-old, I would think.
I mean, I also was Total Recall like around that age, and I grew up perfectly. I feel. No, I mean, it's true. It's subject to like judgment of everyone, but I feel like this movie is a movie that it has aged surprisingly well.
It has. And I didn't see this until I was an adult because I was very snobby as like a late teenager and in my early adulthood, and I was like, I will never watch Die Hard. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is fun and competent. It's a competent film. And actually, I didn't recognize the director's name, but when I looked up what else he's directed, I liked the Thomas Crown Affair. I liked the 13th Warrior. Like, this guy
Oh, dude,
my
no.
guilty pleasures. He does. He gets
Okay,
it.
I agree with that. Now I would say I even watched Rollerball. That is a fucking piece of garbage in cinema, and it's almost like the last thing that he did. But yeah, I mean, Last Action Hero is good. The Thomas Crown Affair is fine. The Teen Warrior is terrible.
It is not.
It is. Do you remember how Antonio Banderas like just learned the language in 5 minutes?
I was super inspired by that film. I was
So
like, you can learn a language.
So how come you are not speaking Spanish? I mean, you should be speaking like better than myself.
But I speak Russian.
Yeah, but you didn't learn it in 5 minutes.
That's true. It
took us many years.
Time.
Yeah, Predator, The Hunt for the Red October he's a solid director.
Yeah, I think he knows the type of director he is, and he's like, this is going to be over the top and ridiculous, and you're going to have a good time, which is really all any holiday movie asks of you ever. It's going to be ridiculous, but it's kind of fun. It's just like Christmas, right? All of this is ridiculous.
Yeah. You have to get into spirit.
Yeah. I will say, though, without the context of the holiday, if this was just a straight up action movie, it would have failed. The fact that they added this kind of like cheesy holiday element is what saves it, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. And it is like a movie because they basically like make like ton of jokes about like East versus West Coast, New York versus LA. That some of them it makes me think about like I wish that I could have watched this in New York in '88 in the
I
cinema.
feel like New York in '88 was very different than the vastly gentrified New York that we
That's
still
true. It may be like a bit, is like he actually says that, like he wants to stay in New York because there is stuff that he can do that he can make a difference.
have. Like stopping and frisking.
But overall, I mean, I was greatly surprised. I watched it with my boyfriend. He hadn't watched it before, I think, and we both had like a really good time. It was a movie that it didn't feel too long. It didn't feel like too stupid. It didn't feel like a waste of time. Sorry, no, I didn't watch it with my boyfriend. I watched it on the plane. I don't know why I mentioned this.
So something you just said, it didn't feel, what did you say? It didn't feel like a long movie, which is remarkable because it is 2 hours and 16 minutes with credits. So that's like at the high end of the length of movies we're willing to watch, unless it's Tar, and then
it was like you did watch 6 hours of that, but I was going to say is we watch like Tarantino movies that they're like 3 hours and they feel like an hour and 20 minutes.
That's true.
And why is it actually? Both of them, they have like a high content of violence, but also I feel like both of them, they have a clear idea about like what they're trying to get out of itself.
And honestly, it's kind of the same genre, right? Like Tarantino moves around between like martial arts films or westerns, but he's just elevated B movies, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean,
this is an elevated B movie in a different vein, but it's the same thing.
Well, this was an A movie back then. Yes, dude. Yes, it was.
So I did read the New York Times review, the
Oh, yeah,
original from 1988, and it's hilarious because there is a preface that said, "Hey, we can never really understand what movies are going to become cult classics and stand the test of time. So sometimes we gave bad reviews to films that ended up being classics, like Die Hard."
Or Eraserhead.
Or yeah, they hated that movie.
Yeah, but they actually retracted, no? Didn't they like review it like years later?
I think so. Yes, and the original review was hilarious because they had it right next to a huge ad for the Elephant Man talking about how David Lynch was the smartest director of his generation, and then right next to it in the review was, "This guy's an idiot."
Yeah, that's true. But honestly, it's like I watched it like pretty close to its release date. I mean, I wouldn't call it like with 9-10 years. I wouldn't call anything like a cult classic back then. But it was like, dude, this is amazing. This is I can see like why this is like a step above about like many other like action movies because there were like a lot of action movies during the 80s of this style.
But even then, if you think about the average holiday film that comes out, those films typically don't have staying power even year over year. Like occasionally you'll have a Love Actually, right? Or a
That's
Die
true.
Hard.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were watching Die Hard even 5-6 years after Elf is one.
Oh my God, I never watched it.
I've seen part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It has like an staying power. It's like different generations connect to the Die Hard festivities in different ways, I guess.
Interestingly enough, the actual review of the New York Times, I can't find it now, but they're like, "This is all absurd, and weirdly, it just works."
Yeah.
And it does. It just works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. It's like when you start adding like all of the pieces about like how stupid it is in some aspects, like the action that is good, but it's not exceptional, like the banter as you were describing, like the body cop, like the body remote cop, like the policeman's doing like everything worse and worse, and the FBI. There's like the only smart one is actually John McClane. Everyone else is dumb because he's from New York and he knows better. Is that he basically just have to disarm like terrorist groups every day in New York.
There's just a hilarious moment. You can tell he's like the gritty New Yorker, and he gets to LA, and a man, not a gay man, but a man, was like, "Hey, how are you? Merry Christmas," and kisses John McClane on the cheek. And Bruce Willis just shakes his head and he's like, "California."
Yeah.
Like, who wrote this shit?
But I mean, I loved it. You know, like just playing with this kind of stupid stereotypes. I don't know. I just feel like super charming. It feels like cozy. It's cozy cinema.
Yep, I agree. This is probably the third time I've seen it, and every time I'm like, this is surprisingly enjoyable. I don't get it.
Yeah. So should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Would you watch it again?
Yes. It's one of the few, again, all jokes aside, it's one of the few Christmas movies that I'm like, okay, I can get on board with this.
Yeah, it almost feels, I mean, I watch it again, but I almost feel like someone in a studio was thinking about like, hey, how can we get couples to go watch a Christmas movie? You know, like the husband saying that is, hey, we're going to be like watching a Christmas movie, and they were saying like, that sounds great, and then finding this, and it's like, and none of them feels betrayed.
Yes, this is a Bruce Willis action film. It's also a heartwarming tale of a family coming together at Christmas.
I have to say, you were saying that is like the husband was like just probably pretty okay for the 80s. I honestly think that how he grows through the movies, I'm not saying that the character development is like solid, but how he see like the bronze of his ways and blah, blah, blah is a tiny more believable than I would expect from an action movie.
Yeah, it's believable, but I feel like if Die Hard were made today and there was a male protagonist whose wife became successful and he decided, oh, your career's not that important, you move away, I'm staying in New York. Now, that's just a no-go. That wouldn't fly today.
But why not? Because it's like they actually paint him as like, hey, what you did was not right. And he sees the wrong of his ways.
Because this was in 1988, we don't judge him because the standard was different. Today, if that happened in a film that was released, you'd be like, oh my God, that guy's a piece of shit.
The part that I think is a bit more of a piece of shit is that every single woman that crosses paths with him checks him out and smiles at him. Like, oh my God. And he
Bruce
looks,
Willis from 1988, man. Of course they checked him out.
But I like the creepy... Bruce Willis has like a creepy, flirty, you know, like look, like the one that he does like over his shoulder with a half a smile, you know, that is like, dude, this is a bit on the creep side, you know, about like how you're flirting here. But he doesn't act upon it.
He doesn't act. I'm actually laughing at myself because you should really, if you haven't, watch the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis. It's exceptional. And one of the roasters is Edward Norton. And Edward Norton sent him he tells the story about, he sent Bruce Willis a script and they met in New York in a bar to discuss it. And they sit down and Ed Norton is like, so what did you think of the script? And Bruce Willis just shook his head and he said, try keeping a marriage together when 21 is still on the menu. And that's like the only discussion. And he tells the story at the roast. And I was like, if there was ever a short story that summed up Bruce Willis and his interests and his skills, it's this story Edward Norton just told.
That's amazing. That's like so to the point that is like, yeah, it's like his character is basically designed in this way. That is like the character on the script wants to become better. Bruce Willis doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
So I don't know, like for me it felt like, okay, this part of the script is like it could be almost remade like nowadays, but like almost like the same script. But I think that some people will be like, well, it's not okay that even like the starting point of the character is that he's a bit of a jerk. If you are not sympathetic from the get-go, you're out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, change the Eastern Europeans to Middle Easterns and it fits today. Well, in the last 8 months, Eastern Europeans became evil again.
Yeah, that's true. And you changed Los Angeles for where would you shot this nowadays?
It has to be New York.
No, dude, because it's the thing. Then what? The guy is a cop in Los Angeles and moves to New York.
I mean, they could just be separated in New York, and he could be like the old New York, and she's like, I don't know. Anyway, yes, it could be made today. You're right, with a few like woke changes.
And I think that who should actually just like hire for directing
Who?
Noah Baumbach, because he could
But
actually
it has a
bring.
happy ending.
Well, he can just like play a bit with it, but he can just bring to life like the tension of the separation.
So, do you want Adam Driver to be John McClane?
I
Actually,
mean,
that
that,
works.
that,
Yeah.
that would that would actually, he has like a bit of a snarky side too that I like.
And Scarlett Johansson could be the career woman.
Do you think? I mean, the thing is, like, no one is going to be like buying Scarlett Johansson like a damsel in distress.
Okay, Lena Dunham.
Lena Dunham, who is her?
She wrote Girls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, that could work. In any case, going back to the question, yeah, I will watch it again. I will almost like watch it like in 2 weeks again.
Yeah, I would watch it one more time before Christmas.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, almost to anybody. I mean, this is maybe not like my grandma's as a Christmas movie, but yeah, I would recommend this.
I was thinking about like maybe I would recommend it to my parents. Maybe my mother still remembers this movie. I remember like
there's nothing that offensive. There's not even that much violence.
no.
I mean, it's stylized.
Yeah, if you compare it with Cobra and other movies from the 80s, like violent movies, is that yeah, this is like a bit toned down. But I remember like the scene when they pull like the computer or the TV like through the with explosives through the elevator hole. And I said, like, holy shit! And my mother was like, it's too violent. But yeah, I would recommend it. Probably not to my parents. I'm debating on that. Would you remember it?
Yes, there's not much to remember. Honestly, like a holiday party is taken hostage. John McClane saves them. That's yes, I will remember that.
Yeah, and I even like trying. I think that I forgot yippee motherfucker.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, there is not too much else to remember.
Nope.
That's like
a
he saves the day.
lot of action stuff. That's it.
Yeah, and the guy from Family Matters.
Yep.
Is there anything artistic about it?
I'm gonna say no. It's competent. It's a solid action film, but there's nothing artistic that I would call out.
I agree. I want to find like some excuse for saying that this is artistic, but there is nothing. No. There is this point when they actually cut the light, like the power, and you can see like the power in all of the buildings around. And they actually says like, hey, we have to just like cut in 9 blocks around. And it's like, no, that didn't work.
Not that one, not that building.
Not that one. Yeah, we're excluding that one. They actually have like a backup elevator. Is it a timeless piece?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it stood the test of time already.
Yeah, I mean, I debated a bit because it's a movie when you watch it is a 100% 80s, but at the same time, it's an 80s that is not too obnoxious. It's not Lost Boys. It's not about like.
Oh, that's just what I was gonna say. It's not so over the top. You're like, this is firmly rooted in this time.
Yeah, it's more like they don't try to. Well, there is only one comment that I felt is like, oh god, 88 when he arrives to the building. He says like, oh, he's my. I don't remember what is the name of the wife, but he's like he's Holly. Holly works here. It's like, oh, what is the last name? It's like, oh, it's Marlene. It's like, oh, you can just check it on the directory, and they have like a TV, like an attached pad. And he's like, oh my god, how fancy is that? This is the future. And like, well, maybe for 88, it was.
But you see, it was too technological for him. He had a hard time with it.
Well, no, he had a hard time because he actually changed the name already.
But they separated.
They're separated, but that doesn't mean that they're divorced yet.
The only line that really pissed me off at how dumb it was is that one of the terrorists comes into the room with the hostages and he's super infuriated because of an interaction he had with John McClane. And his wife's like, he's alive. Nobody can drive someone as that crazy, except John. We didn't need that line, guys. We didn't need that line.
I mean, a funny cute, a funny cute. I find like a bit more is that, hey, I think that I would have appreciated this more in a TV show, in a sitcom after 100 episodes, more than a movie that it has been like running for 90 minutes.
It's a line more for Friends, like the second or third season of Friends versus like major motion picture.
Or Family Matters.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Would you turn this into a TV show?
That's a tough one. I feel like you could make this a 6-part miniseries for the holidays. Maybe, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I could see it working. Yeah.
I'm going to go with no, because one thing that I was mentioning earlier is like that they give you the count of bad guys that there are there. And it's like, I don't want to wait like for one more week about like how many is he got.
Oh, he killed 2.
Yeah. No,
but maybe we get a backstory about how their marriage was starting to fall apart in New York, and we could have a storyline with the kids. We see their kids very briefly.
I have forgotten that part, how actually like the news. I like that angle, like that part of the story. How do you say, like that arc about like the news reporter that is like, just like trying to get information about like what is going on, and he's the one that divulges that it actually just like how to say, like airs like the news about like, hey, is this person, and they go to interview the kids, and they threaten the maid, well, like the babysitter, that she doesn't have papers, about like, well, we're going to be like reporting you. So she actually decides to, I'm going to be like violating the privacy of these 2 kids. Why not?
I mean, what he said is, he's like, I'll call INS, and she's thinking, and then he's like, come on, this is the last time they're going to get to speak with their parents. So it was nuanced. That was a nuanced situation.
I just felt like he was like just painted as a jerk.
That wasn't a woke thing you could do. You can't throw out INS threat anymore.
No, I mean, you could actually use that, but it's like the character, there is not going to be, I mean, that's the part. Is like, I think that I won't say that this is like the most woke movie out there or anything like that, but I just feel it's like the character starts as a jerk and a bit of an unsympathetic John McClane, and he grows into something better. I won't say perfect, but at least he's like, he grows. But the news guy is like, he's a jerk from the beginning, the same way as this Lizzie guy.
Also, LA has been a sanctuary city from 1979. So that's a big plot hole.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought when I was watching. It's like San Francisco is a sanctuary, Chicago is a sanctuary, New York, I think there is also sanctuaries. Like, but it's like has to be a sanctuary too. Otherwise, it's like they would lose like probably like 40% of the working population.
Yeah. So I guess there is a big problem with that.
With that character, yeah. But I think that this was like a bit more designed for people in Iowa to watch it. So they may not know that LA was a city sanctuary.
I wouldn't have known that before I moved to California. Idaho was not a sanctuary place, and INS was tossed around a lot in Idaho.
Yeah, but no one wants to live in Idaho.
There are tons of illegal aliens who work the potato fields.
Well.
And legal aliens.
Okay, let's just say that it's like people, undocumented people, that they don't have like papers, or however you want to say, nor illegal. That it sounds like pretty bad.
No human is illegal. I read that.
Correct. Good that you get your knowledge and your ethical compass from Compass from it. I wouldn't turn this into TV as I was saying. I think that is like, I don't want to deal with waiting more and more. I just want like the whole thing. I want like this blast of adrenaline.
What if it was a Netflix show that released all on the same day?
I don't want to watch this over 12 hours, honestly. Could this have been a short?
No. I mean no. Period.
Yeah, I don't think so. As I was saying, is like I want like this burst of adrenaline in my face. I don't want like just trying to distill to the minimal expression and just having. And besides that, is like, can you think of a good action short?
I don't watch shorts. You will watch way more than me. No.
No, I mean they're usually. I mean, the feeling that I have is like when they're action, they're a bit more about like the set, or the specific kind of choreography that they're like putting out there, or the likes. Is not so much about like, hey, we're going to be like presenting a large conflict.
Guy Ritchie directed a series of short films that were advertisements for BMW in like 2002, 2003. They were all shorts and they were pretty good.
Oh well, I didn't know that one. Okay.
With Jason
Uh,
Statham.
oh, okay. Yeah, like the guy. What was the movies that he did? He didn't do like three. Didn't he have like a saga of movies?
It's like the Invincible or the Irrepressible. It's not those, but it's some, the it's something about the transporter. The
Yeah,
transporter.
transporter.
Yes.
I think that is transporter. Yeah, the transporter. Yeah, you're right. The transporter and transporter 2.
And there's a third one.
Yeah. I lost like the article. Yeah, but it was not Guy Ritchie. Last question: do you think that this movie could have been better?
I mean, why mess with a classic? I'm just gonna say no. I mean, I could have rewritten some of the dialogue to not be as cringy, but would it still be the film we love if it didn't have the cringy dialogue?
No, I think that you just put it like perfectly about like, look, it's a bit of a mess. There is like a lot of stuff like going on here, but it works.
Yep.
And I had a feeling that is like, you're right. It's like probably this is the superpower of this director, of John McTiernan. Is like most of his movies have like a lot of elements, and somehow when you put it all together, it's like this is more enjoyable than it should.
It's entertaining. It is. Yeah.
Come so that was the last one. Should we score?
Yes. Let's score. This was your pick. I have to go first. I'm going to give this a 7.5. I went back and forth between a 7.5. It's good. I'll just give it good. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly my score. I wrote it down like as you were like just starting to talk about like your score, and the same thing. It's like I just feel like it's like a step above good for me. It's like it's a movie. We watch like a lot of movies that we feel that they are good, but it's like a surprisingly good, unexpectedly good movie.
Also, if we were scoring this based on holiday films, I would probably give this like a 9.5.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I agree because it's like those small comments that is like he's indirectly saving Christmas that I found like so hilarious about like, dude, okay, this is not subtle or anything. It's like you're like trying to make like a parody of Christmas movies,
and he does it well.
And he does it well, yeah. That's what it doesn't feel like too heavy-handed or anything. It's just like, look, you're having fun, and everyone is having fun with you. So,
and I did have fun with John McClane.
Yeah, we certainly did. Did you watch the other ones?
Nope.
Should we one day?
Yes.
One day.
One day.
One day. I'm not talking like just doing back to back.
Episode 300, Christmas 2023.
I remember like the fourth one, we went to watch it to the cinema because we're like, holy shit, that's probably like 2005. And we're saying, hey, Bruce Willis maybe is already like a bit, I don't know, mature for doing this. Let's just say.
They must have all made money. All of them.
Yeah. I think there were 5. And I think that on the fourth one, Shia LaBeouf was introduced as his son, if I recall correctly.
What? We absolutely have to watch that one.
Let me just check. Maybe I'm lying about it, but I'm pretty sure Die Hard 4.0. No.
A Good Day to Die Hard in 2013.
Life Free or Die Hard. That's 2007. No, entonces, so he made it up.
You're confusing it with it's not Tomb Raider.
Oh, Jay Courtney. No, Indiana Jones. Yeah, you're right. Shia LaBeouf was going to be like the I don't know, the one that it would take the mantle. No, I lied about that. It was Jay Courtney thing. A Good Day to Die Hard. But I would be down towards the second one, but when we was towards like the fourth one, that was beyond ridiculous. Because the problem with these movies is that I feel like they need to do like this escalation of danger and the
Like
likes.
more and more absurd. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the second one is like what in a airport, if I recall correctly. The third one is like all across New York.
Oh, good. So eventually they took the story back to New York.
There it is. It's like the woman at the end, it actually just fails on her career.
Is it the same wife, the actress?
On the second
I like
one,
her.
definitely. On the second one, definitely is the same actress. But on the third one, I don't remember, dude. I mean, Die Hard with a Vengeance. It was directed also by John McTiernan, but not the third one. And Die Hard.
I don't blame him. Moving on to the 13th Warrior.
Or Die Hard with a Vengeance is the third one, and he didn't direct the second one. Okay, I don't remember anything, so don't quote me. It doesn't matter. We may watch it one day, or not. Who knows?
Add it to the to be watched list.
Okay, Die Hards, all the Die Hards. Okay. Well, so what are we watching next? Because this was my pick.
We went back and forth quite a bit about what to watch next. Even though both of us are traveling internationally for the holidays, we're going to make an effort and go see a movie in theaters. We're going to go see a movie that neither one of us had heard of until the New York Times started publishing the best of lists of 2022. We're going to go see a movie called E.O., starring a donkey and Isabelle Huppert.
Mm-hmm. I had to say that I'm going to be like pretty torn into who to choose as the main character in that movie with that cast.
I hope the donkey gets nominated.
Okay, I hope that Isabelle Huppert does something as terrible as she always do in her movies.
I mean, we can only hope. And if she doesn't, we can rewatch Elle. That can be my next pick.
Not again. Not again. We don't rewatch movies, at least so far. I mean, anything else to say about Die Hard?
That's it.
Right. Then to everyone else out there listening to us, thank you so much for listening.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if it's still the holidays, just enjoy the holidays. Bye.